Today we're going to be going over one of my favorite pieces of tech, the whole body cryo. Now this is going to be a bit more of a deep dive into the tech, how it works, the different kind of features and functions of different chambers, and just to give you guys a broad kind of overview so you have a little bit more information if you're looking to buy one of these, or just to kind of give you a bit more of an understanding how this works, how it's different to cold plunge. And hopefully after this video, you'll be a bit more knowledgeable around whole body cryo. Now, the first question we get asked all the time is, what is the difference between electric and nitrogen? So a nitrogen-based cryo machine, which is kind of older tech now, it has liquid nitrogen in a big dewar, big vessel, and it evaporates that liquid nitrogen and pumps it into the chamber as vapor. Now, there is a few downsides to that. You have liquid nitrogen vapor that has no oxygen going into it, which goes into the chamber itself. So you always want your head above. The other downside is you have to pay for the liquid nitrogen to cool the system. So it does get very expensive. So those systems are kind of on their way out. Electric is the way to go. All of our customers go electric these days, and it's a much easier system to use. All on electricity, comes on a schedule, works very simple. So electric is the way to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through some of the basic components of an electric whole body cryo. So firstly, you have behind here, we have built this into the space, you have the chamber itself. So that is the area that you stand in. That goes down to minus 90, minus 110, whatever the temperature is, that's where you stand. And then the next component is the technical cabinet. Now this has all the compressors and everything in it that makes the cold, essentially. So I'll show you later on in the video what that looks like inside. Now this is one of the most expensive parts and one of the heaviest. And then we have one other component, which is outside. And this is the third component. This is the condenser or the dry cooler. It works very similar to a car radiator. So you've got two pipes that come from the compressors inside the tech cabinet. Now they have fluid going through them, and it brings the heat from the compressors and sends it out to atmosphere. So we can either put this on the ground, we can put it on the wall, we can put it inside, outside. If we're putting it inside, we just duct this big fan. So it gets that hot air that I can feel at the moment and gets it and sends it outside. So very simple setup, and it just means that we can keep those compressors nice and cool. Now price, this is an important one. This one here starts at about 150 USD all installed. Now there is cheaper units on the market. Generally those ones don't have what we call a stage 1 and stage 2 refrigeration system. So they work on generally warmer temperatures, and they work on a big kind of fan system that you'll see at the back, then they blow the air at you really intensely. With that, you don't get as much even cooling, and it's not a true cabin temp. So in this one here, we measure right up here in the cabin, it is minus 90 degrees Celsius when we turn our fan on at the top, which sucks from the bottom and kind of recirculates that air around you. So it gives a nice even treatment. You're getting down to about minus 110. So with that, it's giving you a much more even distribution of the air. It's very consistent across the board, so it makes it a really good tool for everyday use. Now, best time to use the cryo, in my opinion, and what we do with a lot of our NBA and NFL teams, a lot of our athletes, we are saying use this first thing before training. Use it as a pre-workout. Now, for pain management, all sorts of other kind of conditions, you can use it any time of the day. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to do any cold exposure post-workout if you are trying to build muscle. So working on that schedule, it's best to use it first thing in the morning. That's how I use this one. I'll come in, I'll be in my training gear, whip my shirt off, put my PP in, jump in here, do my 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm out into my workout. So when I am in the chamber at those sub-zero temps, I am getting vasoconstriction. It is constricting the blood vessels, pulling all the blood away from your outer extremities. That's why you cover your fingertips, your nose, your toes. And then it is pulling it into my internal organs, and it is protecting those. It is sending a message to your brain, you're going to hypothermic. You're not, because you're not in there long enough. But with that, it kind of pulls all the blood and gives you a kind of nervous system reset, and also helps flush any of that inflammation. So when you come out, you feel ready to go, and that's why I recommend doing it first thing in the morning before your training session. One of the most common questions I get asked is, what is the difference between cryo and cold plunge? Now, we did a study last year where we put skin sensors under the skin, measured both. Cryo came out slightly on top, but there is some differences. So cryo is much, much colder, much faster, and it is dry air. Cold plunge is obviously wet. Now, there is a little bit more thermal load when it comes to water and a bit more thermal shock. So most people, when they hop into the cold plunge, they struggle to catch their breath. The body starts working against the treatment, so you don't get as much therapy as you do in the cryo. Now, there's a couple of other things as well. If you were to use this before training, obviously you have to hop into your swimwear, jump in, towel off, get dressed, get on with your day. Whereas with cryo, shirt off, you're in, you're out, you're on to your day. So a lot of our private customers that we set up, they tend to go just with cryo because they can, whip their suit jacket off, go in there, they can whip their training gear off, just go in there and then get on with their day. It makes it much more convenient. But obviously price comes into it as well. So we're talking hundreds of thousands versus maybe a few $100s to $40,000, $50,000, depending on the cold plunge that you are installing. So there's a lot of differences there, definitely pros and cons with both. My opinion, cold plunge is very good for contrast therapy, so hot and cold. But if I'm looking at a standalone treatment, I am going cryo, but that depends on the budget and the accessibility of the specific cold therapy that you're looking to do. One other important thing to go over is the time that you go into the cryo chamber. So 3 minutes is the industry norm. You can push that a little bit further. I go 4 minutes in here. That is the absolute max in most cases. So the only reason I go longer than 3 minutes is I take a temperature reader in there and I measure my skin at various points when I am in there. If you go in there for too long, the skin will get too cold. It will go below 10 degrees Celsius. Now that is where you are getting close to getting frostbite or burns on your skin. So unless you are measuring the skin temp in there, keep it to 3 minutes. You're still going to get all the therapy benefits from it. But if you have the ability to measure your skin, you might be able to go a little bit longer. Now back to cabin temp, a little cool one for you. If you're not getting snowflakes inside your chamber, it's not going cold enough. Now this is minus 90 degrees Celsius, true cabin temp inside this chamber. So it makes it night and day difference when it comes to therapy on the skin. Now where would you find a whole body cryo machine like this? Now, if you've got a friend with one of these in their homes, then that would be great. We do a lot of those, but we do them in hotels, we do them into sports clubs, we do them into pain management clinics, we do them into hospitals sometimes. We also most commonly do them into health and wellness clubs. So, whole body cryo, because the ease of use, the dry therapy, the consistent cold temperatures that are always the same, it is becoming a much more well-used staple when it comes to cold therapy. And we hope with the right adaptation in terms of when you should be using this, then cryo is going to get a lot more exposure and a lot more people are going to see the benefits of using it every day. I'm going to give you a little inside look into the back end of a cryo machine. Now, this is the technical cabinet. This is all the expensive componentry. So we've got all the electrical components there. Now, this is what I was saying before about having a stage 1 and a stage 2 unit. So this is stage 1 compressor down here, and this is what most people can do. Not many people can do the stage 1 and stage 2 and make it all go into one solid unit. So we have stage 1 compressor, stage 2, and a lot of the kind of cost comes in that stage 2 compressor setup. So we've got about $20,000 to $30,000 of just the refrigerant that runs that because it's ultra low temperatures. So that's why cryo, or a proper cryo machine, is much more expensive than a plug and play unit or maybe an ice bath. Now these pipes here take the heat from the compressors and take it out to the outdoor unit, and that's what keeps the compressors nice and cool so they can run all day and do it every day day in, day out. Now, where I see the cryo industry going, it has got huge growth potential, but there is a few misconceptions when it comes to cryo, that it's only for pain management and it is only for recovery. Using it as a pre-workout tool is hugely beneficial, but we also need clubs and clinics to make it a little bit more affordable and accessible. So it's like going to the gym once, you feel okay, same with cryo. If you're using it consistently, you get much more benefit and you feel the real benefits of cryo. Ideally, we want to get to a point in the industry where people can have access to a whole body cryo system like this, where they use it every single day as part of their workout and their recovery routine. Now, as you can see, we've got orange lights in here, so it is running a dry cycle now. So the machine does this all automatically. It will now dry all the components out and it will be ready for tomorrow's session. So that is it on cryo. I hope that is giving you a little bit more insight into cryo and if that is going to be beneficial for your training and recovery regime. If you have any questions on cryo, when to use it, whatever that may be, put it in the comments below. And if you like this kind of more in-depth view on cryo, let us know what other pieces of equipment you want us to go and do a deep dive on, and we will be sure to do that in one of the upcoming videos. Until then, we will see you in the next one.